It's 2:00 p.m. on a Sunday. You are sitting on your couch. You have a drink in your hand. You have a show on the TV. You have every external marker of relaxation. Your body is still. Your breathing is slow. To anyone looking through the window, you look like a person at rest. But inside your skull, there is a riot happening. You aren't watching the show. You're staring at the screen, but your eyes are glazed over because your brain is somewhere else entirely. It's running a calculation. A frantic, desperate, ceaseless calculation of opportunity cost. You're doing the math on your own existence. If I were working right now, the voice whispers, I could have finished that proposal. If I were at my desk, I could have cleared those 3 emails. If I were hustling, I could be closer to the number. The number. That vague, shifting, terrifying number in your bank account that you've decided is the threshold for safety. But you're not working. You're sitting here. And because you're sitting here, you feel a physical sensation in your chest. It's not pain. It's heavier than pain. It's the distinct, crushing weight of wasting time. You feel like you are bleeding money. Every second you sit on this couch feels like a coin dropping out of your pocket and rolling into a sewer grate. Clink, clink, clink. That's the sound of your relaxation. You aren't recovering. You're losing. You're losing ground. You're losing momentum. You're losing the imaginary race you've been running since you were old enough to understand what a dollar bill was. So what do? You reach for your phone. You don't even decide to do it. Your hand just moves. It's a reflex, a twitch. You unlock the screen and you check, just a quick check. Just to make sure the world didn't burn down in the 20 minutes you dared to close your eyes. You see a notification, a Slack message, an email, a comment on a post. And for a split second you feel better. You feel a tiny hit of dopamine. Why? Because you're useful again. You're an asset again. You're not just a human being taking up space and consuming oxygen. You are a unit of production. But then you put the phone down and the guilt comes back. It comes back harder. Because now you know there's work to be done and you're still sitting here. You try to focus on the movie, but the guilt is a physical presence in the room. It's sitting next to you. It's whispering that you are lazy, that you are complacent, that you are one bad month away from ruin. This isn't about being a hard worker. This is about a deep, systemic infection in your psyche that equates stillness with death. You have internalized the logic of a factory floor so deeply that you have become your own foreman. There is no boss standing over you with a stopwatch. There is no manager breathing down your neck telling you to get back to work. There doesn't need to be. You have built a supervisor in your own head who is crueler, more demanding, and more relentless than any human being could ever be. This phantom supervisor doesn't let you clock out. It doesn't respect weekends. It doesn't care that you're tired. It only cares about output. It looks at your leisure time and sees it as a depreciating asset. It looks at your hobbies and asks, how can we monetize this? It looks at your sleep and wonders if you could get by on 5 hours instead of 7 so you could squeeze in an early morning session. You think you're ambitious. You tell your friends you're just focused. You post about the grind. You wear your exhaustion like a badge of honor because in this sick economy, burnout is the highest form of currency. If you're tired, it means you matter. If you're stressed, it means you're important. If you're working while everyone else is sleeping, it means you're going to win. Win what? That's the question you're too terrified to ask. You don't know what you're trying to win. You just know that stopping feels like losing. You know that silence feels like failure. You know that if you stop moving, even for a second, the anxiety will catch up to you. So you keep running. You check the email again. You open the laptop just for a second. You trade your peace for a sense of productivity. You aren't resting. You are just idling your engine, burning fuel, waiting for the light to turn green so you can tear off again. You are terrified of your own neutral gear. Because in your mind, if you aren't earning, you aren't living. You are dying. And that guilt you feel, that knot in your stomach when you try to take a nap, that is the sound of your programming fighting against your humanity. You have forgotten how to be a person. You have become a biological machine that only feels valid when it is generating value. And deep down, you know it's killing you. You know this pace isn't sustainable. You know you're burning the candle at both ends and the middle. But you can't stop. Because the moment you stop, the silence gets too loud. And in that silence, you might have to face the fact that you don't know who you are when you aren't working. This is the trap. You are the prisoner and the warden. You are the slave and the master. And the whip you're using on yourself, it's made of dollar signs and fear. You remember when you used to do things just because. You remember when you would pick up a pencil and draw a terrible picture and you didn't care that it was terrible. You just liked the sound of the graphite scratching on the paper. You liked the smell of the wood shavings. You liked watching a line become a shape. There was no goal. There was no audience. There was certainly no business plan. You were just playing. Now look at you. You can't just have a hobby anymore, can you? That concept feels alien to you. It feels wasteful. The moment you show a confused spark of talent in anything, cooking, writing, coding, knitting, a parasitic thought enters your brain. It's not even your thought. It's the culture screaming at you. The thought is, I could monetize this. I could sell these on Etsy. I could start a Substack. I could stream this. I could build a course teaching others how to do this. And just like that, you have poisoned the well. Let's look at exactly how this happens. You start baking sourdough. It's relaxing. It's tactile. You love the process. You make a loaf for a friend. They say, wow, this is amazing. You should sell these. And you smile. You take it as a compliment, but the virus has landed. That night, you aren't sleeping. You're lying in bed thinking about packaging. You're thinking about profit margins on organic flour. You're wondering if you have the time to manage a social media account for a bakery brand that doesn't exist yet. The next time you walk into the kitchen, the air feels different. It's not a sanctuary anymore. It's a potential production facility. You aren't needing dough to relax. You are prototyping a product. And if the loaf doesn't rise perfectly, you aren't just disappointed, you're stressed. You failed a customer that doesn't exist. You've lost revenue you never had. And then, inevitably, because you are already exhausted from your actual job, you start baking. The flour goes stale in the pantry. The starter dies in the fridge. Why? Because if you can't do it for real, if you can't scale it, optimize it, and flip it for profit, then your brain tells you there is no point in doing it at all. You have killed the joy by trying to sell it. This is the monetization of the soul. You have reached a point where you cannot justify an activity unless it has an ROI, return on investment. You view your own life through the lens of a venture capitalist. Look at your reading list. When was the last time you read a book just to get lost in a story, just to feel something, or is your nightstand a stack of self-improvement manuals, atomic habits, the 4-hour work week, thinking fast and slow? You don't read for pleasure. You read for optimization. You are downloading data to patch your software. You treat your brain like a hard drive that needs to be defragmented and upgraded. Reading fiction feels like wasting time because it doesn't make you more efficient at your job. It doesn't give you a takeaway you can use in a meeting. It's tragic. You are stripping the humanity out of your own existence to make yourself a more aerodynamic worker bee. And it gets worse. Look at your downtime. You go on vacation. You're standing in front of a sunset that looks like it was painted by a god. It is breathtaking. The colors are burning into the ocean. And what do? You reach for your pocket. You pull out the black mirror. You frame the shot. You check the lighting. You take 3 versions. You filter it. You post it. Why? Because if you don't document it, did you even consume the value? You need the social proof. You need the engagement. You are treating your memories as content strategy. You are mining your own life for raw materials to feed the algorithm. You aren't experiencing the sunset. You are capturing it to prove to others that you are living a life worth envying. You are turning your leisure into labor. You feel guilty when you aren't working, so you turn your play into work to trick yourself into feeling safe. It's not just a video game. I'm building a community. It's not just a dinner party. I'm networking. It's not just a walk. I'm listening to a podcast about productivity. You are terrified of the unmonetized minute. You are terrified of the activity that leads nowhere. But here is the uncomfortable truth. The things that make life worth living, love, beauty, play, wonder, connection, have zero economic value. They are inefficient. They don't scale. They don't have an exit strategy. By forcing every aspect of your life to pay rent, you are evicting the only parts of you that are actually alive. You are becoming a hollow shell, stuffed with potential revenue streams, starving for a single moment of pure, unprofitable joy. You have optimized yourself into misery, and you wonder why you're burnout. You aren't burnout from work. You're burnout because you never actually leave the office. You just carry it with you into your kitchen, into your hobbies, into your bed. You are the CEO of a company called you, and you are running it into the ground because you refuse to let the employees take a break. Go look in the mirror. Do it. Stand up, walk to the bathroom, and look at yourself. Look at the lines around your eyes. Look at the slump in your shoulders. What do you see? Be honest. You don't see a human being. You don't see a father, a daughter, a friend, or a soul. You see a machine. You see a production facility. You see a piece of industrial equipment. And right now, that equipment is idle. And that terrifies you. Because in your world, the world you have constructed in your head, an idle machine is a broken machine. You have calculated your own hourly rate, haven't you? Maybe you haven't written it down, but you know the number. You know exactly what 60 minutes of your time is worth on the open market. Maybe it's $50. Maybe it's 500. It doesn't matter. The number is branded on your brain. And because you know that number, you can never know peace. Every hour you spend sleeping is a calculated loss. Every hour you spend talking to your mother on the phone is a debit. Every hour you spend staring at the ceiling is revenue that you flushed down the toilet. You are running a constant profit and loss statement on your own existence. You are the accountant of your own life, and you are a ruthless auditor. Why did you spend 2 hours watching that movie? That cost us $100 in potential earnings. Why did you take the long way home? That was inefficient. Why are you just sitting there? This is the asset trap. You have convinced yourself that you are not a person, but an asset. And assets have one job: to appreciate, to grow in value, to yield a return. If an asset isn't growing, it's dying. If a stock sits flat for 10 years, it's a bad investment. And you look at yourself like a bad stock. You believe, in the deepest, most rot-infested part of your subconscious, that your self-worth is equal to your net worth. It's an equation you learned early. Maybe your dad worked late every night. Maybe your teachers praised the kids with the best grades, not the kindest hearts. Maybe you saw that the people with money got the respect and the people without it got ignored. However you learned it, the lesson stuck. Value is external. Value is quantifiable. Value is a number. So you chase the number. You treat your own body like a rental car you're driving into the ground. You pour caffeine into the tank. You ignore the check engine light when your back hurts or your eyes twitch. You skip maintenance. You drive it hard, fast, and reckless because you need to get to the destination before the lease is up. And look at how this poisons your relationships. You audit your friends. You don't call it that, but that's what you're doing. You look at your social circle and you ask, what is the ROI on this person? Are they a high-value individual? Can they introduce me to someone? Do they motivate me to grind harder? If the answer is no, if they are just kind or funny or struggling, you distance yourself. You call it protecting your energy. You call it surrounding yourself with winners. I call it sociopathy. You are stripping the humanity out of your connections because you are terrified of inefficiency. You are terrified of associating with depreciating assets. You think that if you hang around people who aren't obsessed with growth, you might catch their stagnation like a virus. And here is the terror that wakes you up at 3 a.m. Obsolescence. You know that technology moves fast. You know that skills have a shelf life. You know that there is a kid somewhere who is 10 years younger than you, hungrier than you, and willing to do your job for half the price. You aren't just competing with your peers. You are competing with the future. So you try to upgrade. You listen to podcasts at 2x speed because normal speed is for slow people. You take courses you don't care about. You learn skills you hate. You are constantly trying to patch your own software, terrified that one day you will wake up and be incompatible with the economy. You are scared that if you stop running, you will be thrown on the scrap heap. Imagine if you lost it all tomorrow. Imagine the bank account hits zero. Imagine the career evaporates. Imagine you are stripped of every single external marker of success. Who are you then? Are you still worthy of love? Are you still worthy of breath? The silence you feel right now, that tight, cold feeling in your gut, that's the answer. You don't think you are. You think that without the production, without the hustle, without the asset value, you are nothing. You are a hollow shell. And that is why you feel guilty when you aren't working, because you are trying to outrun your own worthlessness. You used to have a boss, a real flesh and blood person who told you what to do. Maybe they were a jerk. Maybe they yelled. Maybe they watched the clock. But here is the thing about that boss. They went home. At 5:00 p.m. or 6:00 p.m. or whenever the shift ended, they got in their car and they left. And when they left, you were free. You could hate them. You could complain about them to your friends. You could rebel against them by doing the bare minimum. That world is gone. You don't have a boss anymore. Even if you technically report to someone, they aren't the one driving you. You are. You have become what the philosopher Byung-Chul Han calls the achievement subject. Han wrote a book called The Burnout Society, and in it he explains exactly why you are so miserable. He argues that we have moved from a disciplinary society to an achievement society. In the old days, the disciplinary society, the world was defined by no. You cannot do this. You must do that. It was a world of prohibitions and commands. It was a prison, but the walls were visible. You knew where the cage ended. Today, you live in a world defined by yes. Yes, you can start a business. Yes, you can learn to code at midnight. Yes, you can be a millionaire by 30. Yes, you can optimize your sleep schedule. The modal verb has shifted from should to can, and this, Han argues, is infinitely more dangerous because should has a limit, can has no limit. There is no point where you have done enough of what you can do. You can always do more. You can always answer one more email. You can always take one more course. And because the possibility is infinite, the guilt is infinite. You have internalized the authority figure. You have swallowed the foreman. This is called auto-exploitation, and it is efficient. It is terrifyingly efficient. When a boss forces you to work, you can resent them, you can unionize, you can strike. But when you force yourself to work, who do you strike against? Who do you resent? You can't rebel, because the tyrant is you. This is why you feel guilty when you aren't working. It's not because you're lazy. It's because you have become a totalitarian regime of one. You are the dictator of your own soul, and you are running a labor camp in your own mind. Think about the phrase, be your own boss. It's sold to you as ultimate freedom. It's on every motivational poster. It's the dream of the gig economy. But look at the reality. If you are your own boss, you are also your own employee. And as a boss, you are abusive. You are the kind of boss who would be sued for labor violations in the real world. You deny your employees sleep. You deny them weekends. You deny them the basic dignity of doing nothing. You constantly threaten them with poverty if they don't perform. You gaslight them into thinking their exhaustion is a lack of mindset. If another human being treated you the way you treat yourself, you would call the police. But because it's you, you call it hustle. You call it ambition. You call it being high performance. Han says that the depression and burnout we see today aren't just medical conditions. They are the result of this excess of positivity. We are burning out not because we are being oppressed by a king or a corporation, but because we are burning up in the friction of our own limitless potential. We are tired of having to be able to do everything. You are at war with yourself. And the worst part, you think this war is noble. You think the guilt is a sign that you have standards. You think the anxiety is fuel. But it's not fuel, it's radiation. It's poisoning you. It's mutating your ability to enjoy existence. You have dissolved the boundary between work and life, not to make life better, but to make work total. The factory has no walls anymore because the factory is your consciousness. And until you understand that you are both the prisoner and the guard, you will never escape. You will just keep pacing the cell, checking your phone, waiting for permission to rest that will never come, because the only person who can give it to you is the one holding the whip. You have money in the bank. Maybe it's a little, maybe it's a lot. Maybe it's enough to cover your rent for 6 months. Maybe it's enough to buy a house. Logically, you know this. You can look at the spreadsheet. You can see the commas and the zeros. The math says you are safe. The math says you could stop working today and not starve for a very long time. But your body doesn't know math. Your body is living in a permanent state of financial PTSD. You check your bank account app, not once a month, not once a week. You check it every day, sometimes multiple times a day. Why? You aren't checking to see how rich you are. You aren't checking to gloat. You are checking to measure the distance between you and the cliff. You look at that number and you don't feel wealth. You feel relief. And that relief lasts for exactly 10 seconds before the fear rushes back in. What if the market crashes? What if I get sued? What if I get sick? What if the industry shifts and I become obsolete? You are a rich person with a poor person's nervous system. Somewhere along the line, you learned that money is oxygen. You learned that without it, you die. Maybe you grew up watching your parents fight over bills. Maybe you saw the lights get turned off. Or maybe you grew up comfortable, but you absorbed the cultural terror of poverty through osmosis. You learned that in this world, if you fall, there is no net. There is only concrete. So when you aren't working, your brain doesn't say, "We are resting." Your brain screams, "We are vulnerable." This is why you spiral. You know the spiral. It happens in a split second. You wake up 10 minutes late. That's the trigger. Your brain instantly draws a straight line from "I slept in" to "I am going to die under a bridge." The logic goes like this. I slept in. Therefore, I am undisciplined. Therefore, my boss client will notice. Therefore, I will lose this contract. Therefore, my reputation will be ruined. Therefore, I will never work again. Therefore, I will lose the apartment. Therefore, I will be homeless. It sounds insane when you say it out loud, but it doesn't feel insane when it's happening at 7:00 a.m. It feels like a prophecy. It feels like you are staring into the abyss. You walk past a homeless person on the street. Most people look away because they are uncomfortable. You look away because you are terrified of the recognition. You don't look at them and think, "That's sad." You look at them and think, "That could be me." You believe, truly believe, that you are one bad week away from that sidewalk. You think your success is a fluke. You think your stability is a house of cards. You think that if you stop holding the walls up with your bare hands, the whole thing will collapse and crush you. This is the poverty trauma response. It drives you to hoard. You hoard money, yes, but you also hoard work. You say yes to projects you don't need. You take on clients who abuse you. You work weekends when you're already ahead of schedule. Why? Because you are stocking the bunker. You are a squirrel who thinks winter is going to last forever. You can't turn down work because what if the phone stops ringing? What if this is the last opportunity I ever get? That question haunts you. It drives you to exhaustion. It makes you sick. But you keep going because the pain of burnout is preferable to the terror of scarcity. You would rather be tired than poor. You would rather be miserable than vulnerable. You tell yourself you're doing this for your future. You're building a nest egg. You're creating generational wealth. Bullshit. You're doing this because you are scared. You are reacting to a threat that isn't there anymore. You are fighting a war that ended 10 years ago. You have won. You are safe. But you can't put down the weapon. You can't take off the armor. You are standing in the middle of a peaceful field, swinging a sword at ghosts, terrified that if you stop swinging, the monsters will come back. And the tragedy is, you are paying for this safety with your life. You are trading your actual, present-day existence for a sense of security that never arrives. Because no amount of money is enough to fix a nervous system that is wired for catastrophe. You could have $10 million in the bank, and you would still feel the phantom breath of the wolf at your door. You aren't ambitious, you're traumatized. And until you heal the trauma, no amount of work will ever be enough. How have you been? Oh, good, just crazy busy, swamped, totally buried. Stop. Rewind the tape. Listen to your voice. Listen to the specific frequency of your tone. You didn't say that with regret. You didn't say it like a complaint. You said it with a smirk. You threw that word, busy, onto the table like it was a heavy gold bar. Clang. You wanted them to know. You wanted them to feel the weight of your burden. Because in your twisted economy, your burden is the only thing that proves your weight. You wear your exhaustion like a designer brand. You wear the dark circles under your eyes like war paint. You treat your stress levels as a proxy for your importance. If you aren't stressed, do you even matter? If you aren't overwhelmed, does anyone actually need you? This is the great lie of the modern age. The belief that burnout is a status symbol. Look at how you talk to your friends. It's not a conversation. It's a competition of suffering. I only got 5 hours of sleep last night. Oh yeah, I haven't slept properly in 3 days. I have back-to-back meetings from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I'm working through the weekend. What are you doing? You are competing to see who is damaging their biology the most efficiently. You are bragging about your own exploitation. You are standing in a circle, comparing the scars on your back, and the person with the deepest wounds wins the crown. I'll sleep when I'm dead. You say it as a joke. You see it on T-shirts. You see it on the Instagram stories of Grindset, influencers who post pictures of their laptops at 4:00 a.m. with the caption, "Rise and grind." But it's not a joke. It's a death wish. It is a fundamental rejection of your own biology. You have decided that your body is an obstacle. Your need for sleep, for food, for sunlight, for rest. These are inefficiencies in the system. They are bugs in the code. You are trying to patch them out with caffeine and cortisol. You treat your physical vessel like a rental car you are trying to drive off a cliff just to cross the finish line 1 second faster. And for what? To prove you are hardcore, to prove you have grit, to prove that you want it more than the next guy. But here is the ugly truth you are hiding behind that wall of busyness. You are terrified of being available. If your calendar had empty space, what would that mean? If you picked up the phone on the first ring, what would that signal? It would signal that you aren't in demand. It would signal that the world isn't banging down your door. In the scarcity economy of your mind, available equals worthless. So you manufacture the chaos. You say yes to things you hate. You create emergencies where there are none. You check your email at dinner not because it's urgent, but because you need the dopamine hit of being needed. You need to feel the vibration in your pocket to remind you that you exist. You are addicted to the adrenaline of your own anxiety. You look at people who rest, people who clock out, people who take naps, people who prioritize their health, and you judge them. You call them lazy. You call them unambitious. You scoff at their lack of drive. But deep down, in the quiet moments you try so hard to avoid, you are jealous. You are jealous of their ability to just be. You are jealous that they don't need to destroy themselves to feel valid. You are not a warrior. You are not a hero. You are a battery. You are draining yourself to power a machine that will replace you the moment you run dry. And the saddest part, you are proud of it. You are proud of the fact that you are running on fumes. You think the fumes are the fuel. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Keep going like this, and you'll get your wish a lot sooner than you think. And when you're gone, the work will still be there. The emails will still be unread. The Slack channel will still be buzzing. The only difference is that you won't be there to see it, and the machine won't even pause to mourn you. It will just slot in the next battery and keep spinning. Is that the legacy you're grinding for? When I. That is the most dangerous phrase in your vocabulary. It is the architect of your misery. It is the mantra of the damned. When I make 6 figures. When I pay off the mortgage. When I have a year of runway. When the business hits 1 million. When I retire. Then I will relax. Then I will be happy. Then I will be enough. You are living your life in the conditional tense. You are treating the present moment, the only moment that actually exists, as a waiting room. You are treating today as a transaction. You are trading your Monday, your Tuesday, your entire 20s or 30s for a hypothetical Thursday in 2035 where you finally give yourself permission to breathe. You are suffering from the arrival fallacy. You believe that there is a destination, a specific financial coordinate where the anxiety stops, a number in the bank account that acts as a magical switch. You think that once you hit that number, the guilt will evaporate, the pressure will lift, the sun will shine, and you will finally be able to sit on that couch without your heart racing. But you've already hit the number, haven't you? Think back to 5 years ago. Think about what that younger version of you wanted. They wanted the salary you have now. They wanted the savings you have now. They wanted the stability you have now. If you could go back in time and show them your current bank balance, they would cry with relief. They would think they had won the lottery. But you aren't crying with relief. You're just as stressed. You're just as anxious. You're just as guilty. Why? Because the goalpost moved. The second you hit the number, your brain recalibrated. Oh, $100K isn't that much anymore. Inflation, you know. Now I need $200K to feel safe. Oh, 1 million isn't what it used to be. I need 5. You are a donkey chasing a carrot that is taped to your own forehead. You are running a race where the finish line recedes exactly as fast as you run toward it. You will never catch it. You physically cannot catch it. Because the safety you are chasing isn't a number, it's a feeling. And you cannot buy a feeling with a number. You are sacrificing your actual life for a theoretical life. You skip the dinner with friends because you need to save money. You skip the vacation because you need to invest. You drive the car you hate. You live in the apartment you tolerate. You drink the cheap coffee. You wear the old clothes. Why? Because you are building for the future. But the future is a concept. It doesn't exist. You are starving the person you are right now to feed a person who doesn't exist yet. And what happens if you die tomorrow? Seriously, pause. What if you have a stroke tonight? What if a bus hits you tomorrow morning? All that sacrifice, wasted. All that deferred gratification, gone. All those when I moments, they never happened. You died in the waiting room. You died holding a ticket for a train that hadn't arrived yet. You died preparing to live. You are hoarding joy like it's a scarce resource. You are treating happiness like a retirement fund. I'll save my happiness for when I'm 65. But by the time you're 65, your knees will ache, your friends might be gone, and you won't even know how to be happy anymore because you spent 40 years practicing misery. You are practicing how to be anxious. You are practicing how to delay. You are practicing how to suffer for a reward. And you are getting very, very good at it. You think you are being responsible. You think you are being a good steward of your finances. No, you are being a bad investor. You are investing everything into a future that is not guaranteed, and you are investing zero into the present that is happening right now. You are betting against your own life. The guilt you feel when you aren't working is the fear that you aren't moving fast enough toward the imaginary finish line. But there is no finish line. There is only the running. And if you don't learn how to like the running, or how to stop running, you will die out of breath, with a big number in the bank and a hole in your soul where your life should have been. Let's open the books. You love a good spreadsheet, don't you? You love tracking metrics. You love seeing the graph go up and to the right. You feel safe when you can quantify your progress. But there is a massive, glaring accounting error in your ledger. You are cooking the books on your own life. You are tracking one currency, money, with obsessive precision. You know exactly where every cent goes. You stress over a $5 latte. You agonize over market fluctuations. But you are completely ignoring the massive, hemorrhaging losses in the only account that actually matters. Let's call it life capital. And unlike your bank account, this account is crashing. Think about the last time you chose work over a human experience. Maybe it was a friend's birthday. Maybe it was a date. Maybe it was just a sunny Tuesday afternoon where you could have gone for a walk but decided to power through instead. You told yourself it was a smart financial decision. I'm securing the bag, you thought. I'm being responsible. Wrong. You made a terrible investment. You traded a non-renewable resource, time, for a renewable resource, money. That is the definition of a bad trade. That is bad business. You are shorting your own existence to go long on a currency that they print out of thin air. And here is the part you don't calculate, the compounding interest of neglect. When you blow off a friend to work, you think, I'll make it up to them next week. But you don't. And the next week you do it again. And the gap widens, the trust erodes, the intimacy fades. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens like compound interest, slowly at first, then all at once. Suddenly, 5 years have passed. You have more money in the bank, sure, but that friend, they don't call anymore. They stopped inviting you. The relationship has depreciated to zero. You are richer, but you are socially bankrupt. Look at your parents. Look at your kids if you have them. Look at your partner. They are aging. They are changing. Every specific version of them. The toddler who wants to play catch, the mother who can still walk without pain, is a limited time offer. It is a scarce asset. And once that window closes, it is closed forever. No amount of money can buy back a Tuesday in 2018. You can always make another dollar. You can never make another minute. Yet you treat money like it's precious and time like it's infinite. You hoard the cash and you burn the time. You are a miser with your wallet and a spendthrift with your life. And the regret, that compounds too. You don't feel it yet. Right now, the adrenaline of the hustle is masking it. But wait. Wait until the silence hits. Wait until you're sitting in a house you paid for with your blood, surrounded by expensive things, and you realize you have no memories attached to them. You have possessions, but you don't have stories. You have a high net worth, but a low life worth. You will look back at the emails you sent at 9:00 p.m., and you won't remember what they were about. You won't remember the urgent project that kept you from the concert. It will all be dust. But you will remember the absence. You will remember the empty chair where you should have been. You will remember the look in someone's eyes when they realized you weren't coming. You are building a fortune of regret. You are stacking up should-haves and would-haves like gold bars in a vault. And when you finally retire, when you finally give yourself permission to stop, you are going to open that vault and find that it is full of ghosts. You think the guilt you feel now is bad, the guilt of not working. That is nothing. That is a gnat compared to the crushing weight of the guilt you will feel when you realize you worked through your entire life. You are worried about the wrong kind of poverty. You are terrified of being broke. You should be terrified of being alone. You should be terrified of being a stranger to your own joy. You should be terrified of reaching the end of the line and realizing you were so busy driving the train that you never looked out the window. You are making the worst trade of your life every single day, and the market is about to close. Let's play a game. Imagine you win the Powerball tonight. $300 million post-tax. It hits your account tomorrow morning. The notification dings. You look at the screen. It's real. You are free. You never have to work another day in your life. You can buy the island. You can buy the jet. You can buy the freedom you have been chasing since you were 22 years old. Now answer this question honestly. What do you do on Tuesday? I don't mean the party. I don't mean the shopping spree. I mean 3 months from now, when the adrenaline wears off, when the novelty of the new house fades, when you wake up at 7:00 a.m. on a Tuesday with absolutely nowhere to be and nothing to do. You think you'd be happy. You think you'd be living the dream. I think you would have a nervous breakdown. Because here is the truth you are hiding from. You don't hate the work. You hate yourself. You use work as a sedative. You use stress as a distraction. You use the grind to drown out the noise in your own head. If you took away the emails, the deadlines, the meetings, and the pressure, what is left? Who are you? Are you a writer, a painter, a philosopher, a friend, or are you just a collection of productivity hacks and anxiety disorders in a trench coat? If you had nothing to do, you would have to sit with your own thoughts, and that terrifies you more than poverty ever could. You would have to face the fact that you are boring. You would have to face the fact that you have no hobbies, no passions, and no personality outside of your hustle. You would be rich, yes, but you would be pacing around your $10 million mansion, checking your phone every 30 seconds, looking for a fire to put out. You would invent problems just to feel something. You would start a foundation, not because you want to help people, but because you need a board meeting to attend. You would angel invest just to feel the rush of the gamble. You are a shark that has forgotten how to stop swimming. If you stop, you drown, not in water, but in silence. This is the ultimate confrontation. You have been blaming the system. You have been blaming capitalism. You have been blaming the cost of living. I have to work this hard, you say. I have no choice. Liar. You have a choice. You could work less. You could live smaller. You could drive a cheaper car. You could move to a cheaper city. You could step off the treadmill right now. But you don't. You stay on the treadmill because the treadmill is safe. The treadmill gives you a direction. The treadmill tells you exactly what to do. Put one foot in front of the other and sweat. It's simple. It's mindless. It numbs the existential dread. If you stepped off, you'd be standing in the open. And in the open, there are no instructions. You would have to define your own meaning. You would have to decide for yourself what makes a day good. You would have to measure your worth not in dollars earned, but in joy experienced. And you don't know how to do that. You have atrophied that muscle. You have been measuring yourself with a ruler marked in currency for so long that you don't know how to measure yourself in laughter or peace or connection. So look in the mirror, look closely. There is no boss behind you. There is no bill collector at the door. There is no gun to your head. You are the one holding the keys to the cell. You are the one who locked the door. You are the one who wakes yourself up at 4:00 a.m. You are the one who says, I can't take a break. You are the jailer. And the prisoner is begging for mercy. The prisoner is your body. The prisoner is your inner child. The prisoner is the part of you that just wants to watch a sunset without wondering if it's content. You are torturing yourself because you don't know who you would be if you stopped. You are afraid that underneath the ambition there is nothing. You are afraid that you are hollow. So you keep filling the void with work. You keep shovel-feeding the furnace with your own life force, hoping that if you burn bright enough, you won't have to look at the shadows in the corner. But the shadows are still there, and no amount of money will make them go away. Only you can do that, and you can't do it while you're checking your email. You are standing at a fork in the road. This isn't a metaphor. This is your actual life, right now, in this second. You have two futures ahead of you, and they look very different. Future A is the path you are currently on. It is the path of more. You keep grinding. You keep optimizing. You keep feeling guilty every time you sit down. You hit the next financial milestone and then the next. You get the promotion. You build the portfolio. You become a productivity machine. And in 40 years, you will be dead. You will be the richest corpse in the cemetery. Your eulogy will be impressive. They will say you were driven. They will say you were a hard worker. They will list your achievements. But nobody will say you were happy. Nobody will say you were present. Your children, if you had time to have them, will remember a parent who was always physically there but mentally checking an email. You will have won the game of capitalism, but you will have lost the game of life. That is future A. It is safe. It is approved by society. It is what your parents wanted for you, and it is a tragedy. Now look at future B. Future B is the path of enough. This path is terrifying. It requires you to do something radical. It requires you to look at your bank account, look at your lifestyle, and say, this is enough. I don't need to upgrade the car. I don't need the bigger house. I don't need to impress people I don't like. Enough is the most subversive word in the English language. It destroys the entire economic engine that runs on your insecurity. When you say, I have enough, you become immune to the hustle. You become immune to the fear. You stop being a consumer and start being a human. So how do you take this path? You don't do it by quitting your job tomorrow and moving to a yurt. That's a fantasy. You do it by deprogramming the guilt. You start with a do-nothing practice. I want you to schedule it. Put it in your calendar. 7:00 p.m. to 8:00 p.m. Wasting time. And I mean waste it. Do not read a book. Do not listen to a podcast. Do not meditate, because meditation has become just another productivity hack. Just sit, stare at the wall, pet the cat, watch the dust motes float in the light. When the guilt comes, and it will come, screaming like a banshee, I want you to talk to it. Say, I hear you. I know you think we're losing money. I know you think we're being lazy. But I am not an asset. I am a living thing, and living things need to rest. Feel the anxiety rise. Feel the itch to reach for your phone. And then, don't let the itch burn. Let the silence get loud. You are retraining your nervous system. You are teaching your body that it is safe to be still. You are teaching your brain that your value does not drop to zero just because your output drops to zero. This is the only rebellion that matters. Posting "Eat the Rich" on Twitter is not rebellion. Buying a Che Guevara t-shirt is not rebellion. The ultimate rebellion against a system that wants to turn you into a battery is to simply unplug, to be useless for 1 hour and enjoy it, to refuse to be monetized, to refuse to be optimized, to refuse to be efficient. You have to decide what you are. Are you a net worth, or are you a consciousness witnessing the universe? If you are a net worth, then get back to work. You're wasting time listening to this. Go make money, go grind, go die. But if you are a consciousness, then realize that the only currency you actually have is attention. And every time you spend your attention on anxiety, on guilt, on future-proofing, you are throwing it away. You don't need permission to stop. There is no supervisor coming to tell you, "Good job, take a break." You have to grant the permission to yourself. So here is the choice. You can close this video, open your laptop, and check your email. You can feed the monster. You can soothe the guilt for another hour. Or you can close your eyes. You can take a breath. You can feel the chair under your back. You can realize that right now, in this second, you are safe. You are fed. You are alive. And that is enough. The work will always be there. The emails will never stop. The to-do list is infinite. But your time is not. Stop trying to earn your existence. You already have it. Now, do absolutely nothing.